it's snowing in Chicago. Hey guys, Long Haul area, Big Blue. We are coming into Chicago, and I am going to reset my odometer. I'm just turning it off on 94. Ooh, big bump. Pulled my finger off the odometer button. Alright, we're going to reset our odometer. We have ourselves at 11 p.m. And we're going to time how far it is and how many miles it is to go up through 94 all the way up to downtown Chicago. And up 41 and all that. Non-tolls right through the heart of Chicago. And then some other time I will time how far it is and the time and everything to go 94 and a 294 and come out. Main reason why is because of John. I know John has been wondering about this. He's actually said something to me. He's like, I wonder really what the difference is in miles, he said to me one time. So you know what? We're going to figure it out. Got ourselves 34 degrees. And it's snowing in Chicago. Already seen two cars just back there on 94. So two cars smashed up against the cement walls. I really don't know why, because it's not slick at all yet. It's kind of temperature has actually dropped 2 degrees as I was coming towards Chicago, and it was kind of misty out. Now it's snowing. It's down to 34. So. It's not freezing to the road or anything, so I don't know why people are hitting walls. Who knows? I think I'll let you guys go for right now, and I'll maybe come back in downtown. I got a little story for you guys. I was reading through some of the comments, and somebody had a question, and I think I'll answer that question. Tell you guys a little bit about my history. A little story. That little car just up there, just jumped out there for no reason. That lane is ending right there, but they're gonna jump out. Let's go, everybody. Everybody come on around me. Let's get it on through here. How many more can we fit in front of me here? This truck says I can be one more. There's a car coming too. Oh. Come on, I see you out there. Not you, though. Well, hey guys, here we are coming through downtown Chicago. And I had a subscriber ask me a question. That was kind of interesting. Talked a little bit about it, but Mike Massell, I think his name is, basically asked me, he says, hey, when you were younger, did you ever were you the one that tore apart your mom's washer machine and made it run faster? I was kind of that guy. I don't know if I make it run faster. I just like to tear things apart to figure out how they work. I don't remember a washer machine, but I did tear apart my mom's dryer. I remember I was under 10, I know that. And I remember the dryer stopped working or something like that, and it was kind of broke for a few days or something. So one day I went down there and decided I was going to fix it. I pulled it out and tore it all apart, and I found out that the belt was broken. There was a belt that had a pulley that had this big belt that went around this pulley off the electric motor, and it went around the whole drum. That was what turned the drum, and rotated it, tried to close, and the belt was broken. And so I took it upstairs and showed it to my mom, and she just kind of looked at me. She's like, "What'd you do?" I said, "It's out of the dryer. This is what's broke." So she took me to town, and there was a hardware store. It's called Silica Hardware. And that's where my parents always bought all their appliances and stuff. And they'd always have pieces and parts. I said, "Let's go." And we drove to town and went in there, and I gave him the belt, said new one, and gave him the make and model and everything. And my mom was standing there, and the guy was giving it back to her, and he was like, okay, well, she was talking to my mom, and it's like, yeah, when your husband puts this back together, he needs to put this tension arm on here, he needs to check. And my mom just looked at him and said, "Tell him he's the one who's doing it." And the guy just kind of looked at me, and I'm like, "Yep, what do you got? What do you got for me?" Yeah, that was me. I would always tear apart things. I made a video. I can't remember the exact title. It was about like all the different head injuries I've had, all the times I've hit my head or something over my life. I talk about it in there when I was like 5 years old. I knocked myself out while we were milking cows, and so for a few days I had to stay in the house and everything. I had this back concussion, and they would go out and milk and just kind of let me leave me in the house. And my mom came in one time, and I had all the doors off and was taking all the hinges off and took all the doorknobs apart. I just like to take things apart and figure out how they work. That was always been my thing. That's kind of how I learned how to do things. I mostly just take it apart, and I can kind of look at it and see how it works, see what looks like it's not working right, and fix it. That's kind of how it's gone. I learned how to weld from my dad. He didn't really instruct me or nothing. He just welded because he learned in the Army, and I would watch him out there and try, doing his welding, and I would just watch him, and then I just started sitting out in the shop and grabbing chunks of metal and just weld them together and practicing and stuff, and that's kind of how I learned how to do that. But then my dad, I believe that I was like 11 or 12, somewhere around in there, and my father broke his neck. And broke his neck, and he was actually paralyzed for, I think it was just over a year. And he was all in these hospitals and everything, and while he was gone, all the brothers and everything kind of ran the farm. We kind of all stepped in, and everybody had their little jobs to do and stuff, and we'd go to school, you know. And one of our brothers, he was, you know, wasn't in school anymore. You know, he had a job and stuff, and whenever we weren't in school or doing a job or whatever, then we all kind of had our shifts on the farm doing different things, and we kind of just got everything done. And I was the youngest one. Woo, look at that, thread and needle that car was. That car's had its blinker on forever. Are you gonna go now, or are you just thinking you might make a right-hand turn sometime in the future? I don't know. Let's go. And we would that guy's waving at me. Oh, that car was pulling over there. That's what was going on. Must have been a friend of theirs. He was calling him out or something. But then what would happen is my brothers were all older and stuff, and they would do like all the big machinery stuff. You know, I was still kind of a young kid, and I would run the tractors and stuff, but I would mostly do like just hauling the wagons back and forth to the field, or, you know, that kind of smaller stuff. And my brothers would do all the bigger stuff. And whenever something would break, they would always bring it back, and then I would get up or whatever, and I would go out there and fix it. And I would work on fixing it. I was a young kid, and I would work on fixing it and getting to work it again. And then when I got it done, then I'd wake them up, and they would go back out in the field and work. It was just kind of the way it worked out. And did that for quite a while. And then my dad ended up getting a little better. He got better, and he came back, but he couldn't jump right back into the farm. And I guess the decision was made that it was just too much. And so that's when we got rid of all of our animals. That's when we got rid of the cows, and we used to raise a lot of pigs and we had chickens and stuff. And that's when we decided to they made that decision to get rid of that. And we just ended up doing cash crop. If you don't know what that is, it's just basically planting. You don't have animals and you just plant the crops, combine or whatever, and then you turn around and just sell it to other farmers or whatever. Or otherwise, the canneries will actually pay you so much per acre to plant whatever crop they want in your field, and then they'll come and combine it. So that's things that we did. But I've always kind of just built my own things and stuff. I mean, I never had an allowance. I never had that. If you wanted something, I mean, we weren't a poor family. My parents always did well. They always worked really hard. My dad always had a full-time job and doing the farming. And my mom, she would have a job most of the time. Sometimes there was times where she didn't work if something was going on and she needed to be home more or whatever. So they were always working hard and always put their money in good use. But, you know, the thing is we didn't get an allowance for being on the farm or nothing like that. That was just your job. You know, for a kid on the farm, you just worked. You didn't get paid for it. And if you wanted something extra, you had to do something extra. You had to do some job. And, you know, make that agreement, or otherwise you went and worked on a neighbor's farm for some extra money or whatever. And there was me and all my friends that lived around there, we got into mini bikes. And that was probably my first construction phase of my life, was mini bikes. And, you know, all my friends around there, neighbors or whatever, they would go out and buy these mini bikes. Parents would go out and buy them mini bikes, and they'd be running around the country with these mini bikes. Well, my parents were going to go out and buy me a mini bike, so I actually made one. I made the whole frame and everything, welded it all together. Excuse me. And I put it all together, and we had an old motor that was laying around there. Must have been off an old rototiller or something. And I mounted that all up on there and made myself a mini bike. And it ended up being like the coolest mini bike out of everybody's. It was almost like a chopper thing. And I did end up buying like the tires and the clutch. And the rest of it I just made out of parts laying around there and everything else. And the back tire I bought it, I remember that I asked my dad to take me over to this small engine shop, and they had parts and pieces for mini bikes and stuff. And I asked him to take me over there, and I'd saved up some money, and I wanted to go buy some tires for my mini bike. We went over there, and the guy started showing me all the different tires that he had. And for the rear wheel, I actually bought a tractor. It was a tractor tread tire for the back tire on this mini bike. It was pretty big, and it had these big lugs on it, and I thought it was cool looking. And I put that thing on there, and it was always so funny. We'd sit there, and somebody would hold up. They'd pick the rear end of the mini bike up in the air, and I would sit on it, and I'd rev it way up and get that tire just howling, and then they would drop it on the ground. It would just dig a hole straight down. It was pretty cool. But then we'd run around, and the gearing was so tall on the thing. That mini bike, the power going wasn't the greatest, but once it got going, we'd run all around those little roads all around the farm there. And once we get going, I mean, that thing would do 50, 60 miles an hour. Everybody else is doing like 25, 30. I would just fly. And it was a pretty cool thing. But I blew up a couple engines because we would mess with the governors on them to get higher RPMs on them to go faster and faster. And I ended up blowing them up and didn't have any more motors. So then I'd look in there, and here would be my mom's rototiller for a garden or something would be sitting there, and I'm like, that's a good engine on there. And I would snatch the motor off and throw it on my mini bike and run around with it. And then my mom would go out there to grab the rototiller. Larry! And she'd yell at me. I'd have to pull the motor off my mini bike, put it back on the rototiller. So I was always stealing motors off of things. Until they figure out what was going on, and then they'd yell at me, and I'd have to put it back on and hook everything up. So yeah, that was me in my younger years, tearing things apart. Well, we're making our way through Chicago up here in 94. Alright guys, we are actually up here to the state line. We're coming up to it right now. I'm not going to be able to tell you the time. We got really hung up down there in downtown. I tried to watch the clock, and I gotta do it to watch the cars, not the clock. So I don't actually know how many minutes I lost in there and stuff. But right now it is 72 miles. So that took us 72 miles from down on 8094 up here to 94 at exit 1. So I would say probably about an hour and probably 20 minutes probably took. Something like that. Because I'm actually showing that it took an hour and 51 minutes. But I can tell you that was at least a half an hour that I lost downtown. So I would say probably around an hour and 20 minutes I lost. That took me. I don't know what is shaking in my dash or making noise. I don't know. Might be something in my little glove box over there. But 70 miles an hour, and we're off like a faster turtle. So, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope everyone out there is having themselves a great day, a great night. watching this here video. If you are not, we certainly can change all that around and try it all over again tomorrow. I will catch you guys later. See ya.